Have you ever been told that your spiritual practices are demonic? Maybe you practice meditation or yoga, or you like to learn a little bit about astrology or mysticism, and someone in your life has told you that this is Satan worship and that even you could go to hell for practicing these things. Well, this has definitely happened to me, and in this video I'm going to be sharing my perspective on this subject, what I think when it comes to this conflict between Christianity and New Age spiritual practices. I'm really interested in this topic, so let's just dive straight in. Maybe you have had this experience in your life before on your spiritual journey, probably, where you've come up against someone that is Christian and they tell you that your beliefs are demonic or that you're going to go to hell for being part of the New Age. And this is something I wanted to speak about because I have people in my life that I'm very close to that speak to me like this, and I'm always kind of wanting to learn more and understand where these accusations come from. I find it really interesting how people can come to these conclusions, and a lot of what a lot of what I am being accused of when it comes to the people in my life that are Christian is that I am practicing some form of demonic spiritual practice when it comes to meditation, or let me just sit better, when it comes to meditation or maybe yoga or learning about astrology. And you know, many people can probably relate to this. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a quick pause from today's video to let you know about something special. If you are looking to get some help with staying consistent with your spiritual practices and really go deeper with these teachings, then I would love to invite you to my full moon and new moon ceremonies. These guided gatherings are designed to help you to align with the lunar cycles, set powerful intentions, and release what no longer serves you, all within the supportive community of a high vibe group. Each ceremony includes a guided meditation where you can tap in, realign your mindset, and raise your vibration. You will also get the chance to connect with me and other like-minded souls live in a space where you can ask questions and receive personal guidance to enhance your spiritual journey. So if you are ready to create real transformation with each moon phase, come and join us. There is a link in the description below so that you can find out more details, and I hope to see you there soon. And now let's get back to the video. It's funny because before I found myself being kind of resistant to looking into all this Christian beliefs, because I was kind of like, okay, if these people are so firm on their beliefs that everything I'm doing is demonic, I was kind of scared to get into it and learn, because I was like, what if I end up being like that and start telling people and like coming from this place where I'm scared that I'm gonna go to hell and all this stuff. And what I realized was that resistance wasn't really helping me. It would actually probably serve me a lot better if I actually just watch these videos that people send me and really listen to them and what they're saying so that I can understand their point of view a little bit better. And someone just sent me a video basically saying, oh, I would love for you to watch this. And it was a video that was about New Age. So this guy has basically made this video and is explaining how the New Age movement is deceiving and it is pushing a satanic agenda. And in this video, he says a lot of stuff about how people in the New Age will be claiming that they are God, and there was a lot of different points that he made that were basically in opposition to, I guess, what people are taught within Christian theology or within the Christian doctrine. I found it really interesting because when I first started watching this video, I'm like, okay, just watch it calmly. Let's not try to let our ego be picking it apart and arguing. I really wanted to understand, because sometimes I think if someone came to me with these kind of things, I would already, like, even when I first started watching that video, I could notice myself already trying to come up with some arguments of, you know, how I was going to defend myself. Because I was aware of that, I was able to know, like, say to myself, you know, no, let's actually listen. So I did. And what I found was that a lot of the things he was saying, I think some of the stuff he was saying was actually pointing to maybe some of the negative expressions of the New Age movement. And I say New Age with this because I find it kind of difficult to define what he means by the New Age movement, because he kind of is, I guess what he was pointing to was pantheism, which he said was basically the belief that we are all God, or we are all part of God, we're all one. And theism would be that, especially monotheism, is that there was only one God and that God is outside of the universe. Some of the stuff that he was saying was that in this video, and I'll link the video below if you want to watch it, but some of the stuff that he was saying, I was like, do you know what? I can see why maybe someone that is believing the Christian doctrine or the Bible to be absolute truth would come to these conclusions about some things that are linked with the New Age movement. I think that there are teachings in other religions. I think that truth can be found outside of the Bible. And with that being said, I also think that we have to be careful to believe and without questioning anything that's in the Bible, because, well, for many reasons. I've learned that many different things about how the Bible came about, and I'm not an expert on this stuff, so I'm not even going to go into that, but for me it makes more sense to feel out truth in different places, and usually that truth for me comes back to love. And for me, this is, from what I've learned, the true message of Jesus. It always comes back to love. And when I learn about like Eckhart Tolle's teachings, for example, where he kind of speaks about the things that Jesus says and relates it to being still and not being identified with the ego, it always comes back to how we treat one another and being in connection with each other, not feeling like we're separated from one another. And that to me really resonates. Whereas some of these Christian doctrines are kind of leading people to do the opposite, and I personally don't think that's what Jesus would have wanted with his message. So I think that's why we have to be really careful to believe everything in the Bible to be true. And I'm also learning that there are a lot of contradictions in the Bible when it comes to the teachings of Jesus, his actual words, versus other things that are being said by people later down the line. And I don't know too much about that, so I won't go into that, but if you want to learn a bit more about that, then there's a really good channel, and his name is Aaron Abke, and he has done so much research into theology and just the Bible and history of the Bible and translating things, and I think that he explains things really well. And I haven't watched like all of his videos obviously, but I've watched some of them and I really like how he explains a lot of stuff. There was another thing that really stuck out to me in the video, this New Age video, which I thought was quite interesting, and I do think that I agree with some of the things that he was saying. He was basically saying that the New Age is teaching to use only the right brain, right? And that we need to eradicate intellect. And if that's the case, I definitely do not identify with being a New Ager at all, if that's his definition, or that's what he thinks New Age is teaching, because I do think that it's important that we integrate the right side of the brain, or the creative imagination side of the brain, with our logic and our feeling. I don't think it's about throwing out anything, getting rid of logic, getting rid of intellect, because he was basically saying in the video that these like New Age teaching is satanic because they're trying to teach you to not be with logic and not use intellect. If that's being taught by people in the New Age, then this may be one of the more negative expressions of the New Age. And I do think that there are shadow sides in every corner of the earth. Like every place has its higher frequency and lower frequency expressions, and I think maybe that is one of the more negative expressions of this New Age movement, as he calls it, if people are teaching this, because I don't think it's ever a good thing to teach people to completely transcend their mind. I think that there is a place to use our mind. I think that maybe the misunderstanding there is that he has not understood the fact that actually it's important for us to use the mind, but where maybe he's getting that from is where teachers have taught that we have been maybe over-identified with our mind, and that we have maybe over-intellectualized and used logic and the masculine side of our design our human design. And so I get as well, if someone has said that to him, that's what he thought, that's what the New Age was thinking. I totally get why that might be a little bit of a concern, because that is a concern to me as well if people are teaching that. So, and I think sometimes what happens is there are these teachers that are teaching New Age teachings, and there's always going to be certain teachers that are teaching things that maybe don't align with truth, or they're massively coming from a place of ego, and they're not teaching from their heart or from a place of love. And then these teachings are getting used as an example when there's actually many positive, better examples of, I hate saying New Age teachings. I don't even think it's really New Age, because I think a lot of the teachings that are what they are alluding to are quite ancient wisdom. So yeah, as I was saying, I think it's important that we integrate both. Maybe there's been too much use of logic, and we need to balance things out by bringing a little bit more heart, feeling, connection, imagination, creativity into our lives, which maybe might be able to integrate and balance things out a little bit. That's just what is coming to me right now. I think on this journey we're always learning new things and expanding our perspective on life and the journey. So yes, with that being said, what do you think about this, guys? Have you ever had people in your life telling you that you're satanic or demonic because you practice meditation? And what do you think about that? Do you think it's demonic? If you do, let me know in the comments. I'm so interested to hear your perspective of what you think. I'm also really just open to hearing everyone's perspective. I think it's important that we all start to listen to each other's perspective, because I think sometimes these big groups come together and they're like, okay, Christians believe this, New Agers believe this, and actually it's more complex and nuanced than that. There are a range of people in the, what maybe someone would call the New Age. There are a range of people in that group, or that labelled part of society, that are actually very different and unique and have completely different perspectives from each other, and maybe don't believe the same things. So to just call them all the New Age doesn't really resonate with me. I don't even know if, I don't really feel like I resonate with being called a New Ager myself. It's a kind of a weird one. And I think that same with Christianity. There's obviously going to be so many different people within Christianity that have their different beliefs. Obviously there's going to be people that have very similar beliefs and that are very strictly aligned with doctrine and dogma, but I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I find this topic really interesting though. I actually used to always look up, like, I like to see both sides. It seems like there's such a conflict within these two arenas, so it's really interesting to look at both and see where everyone's coming from, and see, like, let's try and find some understanding between all of these different viewpoints. What do you think? What do you think, guys? If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and yeah, I can't wait to make more videos and see you in the next video. And yes, thank you so much for your likes. Thank you for subscribing if you would like to see more videos where we discuss spirituality and self-transformation and all of these different cool deep things on my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Peace, namaste, and have a good day.